Back in February, fire tore through some townhouses in Iqaluit, leaving dozens of people homeless, making an already difficult housing situation even worse. Housing is scarce in most northern communities, this far north anyway, and that's one of the issues, just one of the challenges that the community faces. Joining us to talk a little bit more about that is former Inuit leader Mary Simon, and the fire was awful. I mean, most particularly because every single house is not only taken, but in many cases overcrowded. Tell me about the housing as an issue and what's being done, what can be done.
Good morning, Beverly. Ulakut, tungasutsia tamani nunavumi nunatsia valumi haisimagavit. I'm just welcoming you in my language.
I appreciate that. It's lovely.
We speak our language and we're very proud of it. So we like to welcome people in Inuktitut, which is the language of our people. Housing is a very serious issue. Probably when you walk around town, you don't see any homeless people out on the streets. So we call it a hidden homelessness because our people bring in their families into their home to live with them. So what you can end up with is 2 or 3 families living in one house.
Right.
So which means that there's a lot of overcrowding taking place. And the shortage of housing is not just contained in Nunavut, but it's also across the other Inuit regions in Nunavik, which is northern Quebec, Nunatsiavut, which is in northern Labrador, and the Inuvialuit region in the western Arctic. And we have such a shortage of housing that it's very difficult to at least bring it up to par where individual families can have homes. And you know, we've been negotiating with governments for years about this, but there's no end to it. It affects the lives of our people on a day-to-day basis. The conditions in the home are not always, you know, conducive to a healthy environment. Poor ventilation, or even you know, mold is in the house. Respiratory issues in children is an issue with families. So, you know, this issue is a really critical issue in the North, and it needs to be addressed.
One of the other areas that you have made certainly a priority as well is education. We talked a little bit about the dropout rate, which is significant. But we were just talking before we came up on camera, and you were saying even for those who do graduate, it's tough.
Education is one of the key issues that's facing us today, because when we talk about all the economic development that's going on in the region, in Nunavut, in other parts of the Arctic, you're looking at big business, mining, oil and gas, and we do have companies that are going to be benefiting from all of this development activity. But what I always worry about is that we're going to leave our families and our communities behind because our children are not getting through the education system. I know people are trying very hard. Right. The educators are trying hard. The jurisdictions are working together with us as the national organization to develop a new strategy. Well, we've developed a new strategy that will help ground our people in their language and their culture and get through school grounded in our identity. But if you can't get the children through school after high school and then go on to post-secondary, they're not going to take on the job that are available to them up here, so they won't become the job force. So that's what we're trying to avoid, and we're working really hard to try and make sure that gap doesn't keep getting bigger, that it actually keeps getting smaller.
And interesting to know about the strategy that is in place to try to tackle that as well. Mary Simon, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.